the show. So, just so you guys are aware, I am kind of, working on this as we go. So let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Darkflux of Adamantoise. What's going on, Darkflux?
Hey guys, I just wanted to talk about.
Hang on.
Yes, you will become as useless as Skuro. So say we all.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Man, these donations are getting really on point with interrupting callers.
They really are. Yeah, they really are. Anyway, what's up?
Yeah, so I'd quit the game for a while, and so like when 4.2 was coming out, I had some of my friends who had also quit were kind of like, hey, we're gonna start playing again. Let's try, getting the gang back together. So I decided to resub and got bored within a week. And then I had another friend who was like, hey, I'm going to make a new character on one of the preferred worlds to get the double XP bonus. And so I decided to join them in that venture, and I've been leveling a new character, and it's been a much more fun experience than playing my actual main character, which is kind of weird.
Well, and I think that exposes a little bit of, some of the frustration that FF14 players are having, especially those that are at endgame and have been there for so long, that there always seems like there's a plethora of stuff to do when you're just starting out, and that end of the game never stops seeing development. That end of the game, that leveling part of the game, is constantly receiving overworld development, and I think that part of it is really starting to get frustrating for long-term players.
And the reason why is because you're right. A lot of really good calls today. When you're leveling, you have a goal that you're working towards, and that's that cap, right? That never changes. That's always gonna be there, and it never. When it does move, actually, they just add more to it, but they never really do a whole lot to ease that. They introduce new, maybe funner ways to do it, such as Deep Dungeon, or as you said, the triple XP campaign. But you always still have to go to level 80, right? But once you get there, when you have your end game aspirations, whether that's getting your tome gear or doing the raid, that never feels, at least to me, as worthwhile, because those goalposts are absolutely always being moved closer to you, or in some cases, like when the next patch and tomestones come out, some of those goalposts will actually be removed in favor of moving other ones closer to you. Square Enix is not going to give you level 80 unless you buy a jump potion, right? But eventually, they are going to give you those tomestones and that gear a lot easier.
I think I think that is fair, and I think that is what most MMOs should do. It's the jump potions. It's it's the
rate at which they move the goalpost. I don't ever feel like a goalpost should feel like it's been removed. If you want to come back after, let's say someone's just coming to Stormblood right now, all they have to do is get to 80, and then they're already getting is it Creation or Verity right now? The one that was just moved to normal dungeons.
Creation?
I don't care.
Whatever, right? They're getting those.
Who gives a shit?
And they have to start working towards their Mendacity or Mencia tokens, whatever the fuck they are, okay? Whereas I remember when I started World of Warcraft back in, I think, the Burning Crusade, in order to get caught up to where Juxta was in Karazhan, which was the current raid content, I had to do the dungeons, gather the gear, and start like basically unlocking. And I still had to progress through stuff that nobody was really doing right now. They weren't doing as much, but people were still doing it. And that's why you ease content. When people stop doing it as much, you ease the difficulty of it so that people who were stuck can now get through it. But I don't think you should ever offer them a shortcut around to completely bypass it.
No, because that's boring. Who wants to? I mean, I can't. There's always going to be people who will shell out for the easy answer. But I think that like if you're an MMO player, why would you even want that? You know what I mean?
As an MMO developer, why would you want all of that content to just die at that point?
Or why?
In regards to the content, like there's something I've noticed. Like I kind of like came to me after like replaying all this stuff. Yeah. You get to level 50, you get to the end of A Realm Reborn, you have to go through all the patches story, but you unlock like 12 dungeons that you have to unlock all at the same time. So like for a new player, that would be like completely overwhelming, and like they would have no idea where to start. And in regards to like Crystal Tower, with the original Crystal Tower quest, you actually had to do something to unlock it. You had to it was fates, which is, dumb, but at the same time, you still had to work you had an attunement quest, which this game really lacks. It wasn't hard to do. It just was a little time consuming, but if they started to do that more, I think in more current content, it would, one, help with server issues where like not everyone is going to be going to that one piece of content all at the same time. It kind of scatters people about. And also it makes it so it makes the content feel more worth it when you're actually having to work for it, or like there's extra content to do the content.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a double-edged sword, okay? Because I get the argument against gated content or in this case attunements. It was one of the big things that I think after Burning Crusade that World of Warcraft
really got rid of,
had cut out, right? But I think that Square Enix is going too far with it, because I do think that having you silence your phone, Darkflux, and your weeaboo persona bullshit. Got him, Juxta, don't worry.
You just trapped yourself, because now we all know that you know what that sound effect is from.
Because I played the game. I don't do it in real life, though. Anyway.
Hold on.
What?
I've seen your phone, and you have like a little conversation IM thing that looks exactly like Persona.
But it doesn't have the sound to alert everybody else and bring them into this weeaboo nightmare, especially when I'm trying to do a radio show.
He's got a point. He's got a point there.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Back to my point, though. I think that there is
closet weeb.
I do think, says the guy with the wall scrolls.
They're gone. Not that you would know, because you haven't been in my house.
Because you have a dumb baby.
I have a wonderful baby.
The point is, there is definitely a place for gated content and attunement, because you're right, it does give a sense of accomplishment, right? It's this wall that you had to overcome instead of just sitting in the Adventurers Guild waiting for the patch where they give it to you, okay? One of the things that I don't think that World of Warcraft did correctly with their attunements back in the day was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Juxta, but they never really eased the requirements of them. You always still had to go through these hideously long quest chains that you usually had to get your guildmates to help you with, because nobody did that content as much anymore, right? And I think that's
to do like heroic dungeons back then too, so it was actually like relatively difficult content.
Yes.
It was actually whereas like the Crystal Tower quest, it was just doing fates, which is like nothing. It requires like zero effort. It just requires you to wait around and
and Square Enix has implemented changes to help ease the effort behind doing fates when nobody else is doing them, and I think that that's the right way around it. Don't just completely get rid of gated content, or don't completely get rid of attunements, but as less and less people are doing them, you should ease the requirements, because trying to find a party or just to get someone to do it with you shouldn't be part of that challenge.
Well, I mean, I think also with the way they did Deltascape and Sigmascape, with just having that little solo instance at the beginning is like a step in like a good direction, because like you have to kind of do something for it. Like it's not hard, but
except though that it's so quick that it's like I forget that it even happened until you mentioned it. Like you know what I mean? Like that's never the way that you want to present content either, where it's like, oh, that was a thing. Right now I know what you're talking about.
And Danny Luma didn't even use Audible in Final Fantasy VI. They got it completely wrong.
Oh, shut up. And this is where I think the biggest flaw in Square Enix recent designs come into play here, because both you and Anira are right. Introducing something like that as a sort of gate, I think, is a step in the right direction, but because of the way that they design content and because of the fact that it has no teeth, it does just seem like a waste, and so no one on the development side is going to look at that and be like, that was really cool when we did that. They'll just be like, oh no, that didn't do anything, so let's not do it again, because nobody even remembers or recalls that, and they end up discarding it.
Well, And I think also one of the things that FF14 has been really bad at as an MMO is directing you through content that you almost immediately a week out you forget about, right? Like there's the stuff that you grind over and over again and you kind of, that's like sort of etched into your memory, but there's enough other content out there that should be something that springs to mind when someone asks what's so great about FF14. And it's like, by virtue of the fact that you're only ever doing it once, that you kind of forget that as a part of the whole content presentation. And I think that ends up being a strike against the whole content presentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Aqueducts. The few times that I had done Aqueducts, I had fun with it, but you never go back and do it. And even when they announce updates to it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's a thing. Why should I do it now? Oh, well, for pets and minions and glamour gear that you can get elsewhere.
You mean Aquapolis?
I think Square Enix also did something kind of short-sighted in trying to make their end game also their middle game, right?
Yeah.
Like there's really leveling, and then there's stuff to do after you're done leveling, and there's some overlap between them. There's dungeons, and there's circle arena boss fights and stuff like that. And once you get to the end of the leveling, there should be like with FF11, there was an entire second game that opened up to you once you hit level cap, and I don't feel like you ever get that same experience with FF14. And I think that's an essential part of an MMO that needs to be there, right? Like I think that's a highly appealing aspect to an MMO, and something that specifically someone who's looking for an MMO or has been a veteran player for an MMO for a long time is always going to be trying to seek out, and is always going to be measuring that against whatever their favorite game was.
Well, if you want to go right back to the reason that not even just MMOs, but I think that's where it works the best, or when it's in its prime, is video games, adventure, RPGs. The whole idea is to go out, have new experiences in adventure, create this community, a party, form friendships and bonds and all of this. And, well, yes, okay, they have a narrative through the MSQ to where you're, quote-unquote, doing this. As a player, just looking in, there's no adventure to it. You're doing the same thing every single time. Run down a predetermined path in the hallway, fight something in a circle room.
Pretty much
every single time. Where's the actual suspense and excitement from that? Once you do something for the first time, it's gone. If it was even there to begin with. Oh, doing Hell's Lid. I wonder where the path is because I can't see it. There's just lava. Oh, okay. We're just going to go through the lava, which was cool the first time. I actually did like that.
Right. But I mean, like, how many times have we said, like, yeah, this is going to be cool for a week, and then once the week is up, we're going to move on. It's going to be old hat. That's been one of the core complaints about FF14 since, we got into Heaven's Word. Once we really started to notice how this treadmill was going to be progressing. And I mean, yeah, I think that there's legitimacy to that.
And it's this line of, and again, this could just be our own line of thinking that's putting us in this rut. But that's what's stopping me from truly getting hyped about Eureka, is even if I go in and I have a ton of fun doing it, when patch 3.3 or patch 3.4 comes, what's going to be the reason to do Eureka? Because all the gear that comes out with those is going to outclass it. Here in the chat, Tiro233 says, I am 100% optimistic that Eureka is going to be a complete success. Complete success, the very best FF14 could ever have. Now, Tiro, I would...
I'd love to share that optimism.
But I would also encourage you to call in and talk to us, because even if it is, like I guess I want to know in your head, what does a 100% success, what does that mean to you? Because to me, in order for it to be a 100% success, yeah, sure, I have to have fun in it, but I feel like it needs to break the monotony of what Square Enix is currently doing right now. And even if I do have fun when the next patch comes out, if we move on past it because it's not relevant anymore, do you still count that as a success?
Give us a call. Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Thanks, Darkflux, for giving us a call. Let's